All right. So Efrain Segundo Orozco is a financial coach on the financial empowerment team at the nonprofit organization Mission Asset Fund. He is a son of immigrants and a first-generation college graduate from San Jose State University. He has worked in the field of economic empowerment in the most recent years of his career, and he truly believes that financial literacy will be a pillar of one day creating a fair financial marketplace for all. With that being said, take it away, Efrain.
Hey, how's it going? Happy Saturday, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Efrain. I'm very happy to be here. And today we're going to be talking about ITIN. Now, this presentation will be specifically tailored to any of you in this chat and in this room who might be undocumented. Just a little bit of background about this. So I used to be a financial coach for a program called SparkPoint, which is actually a financial coaching program that is based out of the community colleges in California. And one of the biggest topics that I definitely ran across in my time there was like, one, it was credit, which is great. You guys already covered that topic. And two was ITINs, because there was a lot of undocumented students that went to school at those community colleges. And most recently, my professional experience has led me to work. I'm the financial coach at Mission Asset Fund, but I'm also the financial coach at the Mexican consulate in San Jose. So I would say 90% of the clients that I work with there are undocumented. So a lot of times it's me not only trying to teach them how to navigate the financial system, but also introducing it to them and showing them how having an ITIN can be a benefit. So today we're going to be going over exactly that. So give me one quick second while I share my screen. Perfect. Can everybody see my presentation? Can I get a thumbs up if you can see it? Yep. Awesome. Perfect. So then the presentation today is what you need to know about ITIN. So what exactly are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be answering a couple different questions. Number one, what exactly is an ITIN? Number two is how to apply for an ITIN. We're going to be showing you the application forms and the required documents that you need in order to obtain an ITIN. Next, we're going to cover benefits of an ITIN. What are the different financial options that you might have possessing an ITIN, and what can it help you for in the future? And then finally, I just want to share a little bit more information about Mission Asset Fund, who we are, some of our great products, in case you want to look us up and hopefully get involved with us in the future. So I wanted to take another opportunity to introduce myself. Thank you so much for the introduction, Nicholas. My name is Efrain Segundo. I am the financial coach on the financial empowerment team at Mission Asset Fund. And I am the financial coach at the Mexican consulate in San Jose. And within the Mexican consulate, they have different windows to help out Mexican nationals. So anybody can come. You don't have to be Mexican, but anybody can come. And one of those windows is called the Ventanilla de Asesoría Financiera, which in English translates to the financial coaching window. Now, pretty much what I do there during my time is people just come up and ask anything and everything that has to do about their finances. Efrain, how is it that I can buy a house? Efrain, how can I open a bank account? Efrain, I am documented. I just got to this country a couple months ago and I'm trying to get my roots in. What's the first thing I should do? Efrain, I'm trying to create a budget, try to create a savings plan. Anything and everything that has to do with finances, I try to help them and provide them with resources, information, put them on the right track. And thankfully, this experience has shown me a lot about the importance of financial literacy and really the difficulty in immigrants trying to navigate the financial system. A perfect example is my mother. She came from Mexico to the United States when she was 42 years old. So now think about it. She spent the first 42 years of her life in a completely different country, immigrated here with nothing in her pocket, just her kids. And then she had to not only learn the new language, but she had to learn how to navigate this very complex financial system and try to figure out how to thrive in it. And to be honest, most of the time, that's the most difficult thing for immigrants to overcome. It's how to learn this financial system, how to navigate it, because there isn't substantial and sufficient resources to help these people navigate through the system and to help them thrive in it. And that's something that I really enjoy about Mission Asset Fund, that our entire mission is about creating access to people, whether it be financial literacy, whether helping them build their credit, whether it be access to loan programs, whatever it might be. It's all about creating access, because we believe with access comes opportunity. With opportunity comes progression. So hopefully today you're able to take away a little bit more information about ITIN, if there are any undocumented students in this room. So you can go ahead and take that information and hopefully run with it in the future. And if at any point, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to make a quick request. If you have a question at any point, please put it in the chat box so I can see the pop-up. The reason being is I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was a college student not too long ago, and I sat through hundreds, maybe thousands of presentations, and I do not remember 90% of what I listened to. What I do remember, though, is when I asked the question, somebody would answer my question, and I would walk away with that answer, and that answer would always stick to me. So if at any point you have a question, please let me know, because I'd rather you walk away with that one piece of information and you remember that piece of information than nothing at all. Sound good? Perfect. Awesome. So we're going to start with the first question of the day, which is, what exactly is an ITIN? So an ITIN, ladies and gentlemen, is an acronym. It stands for Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. It is a number that is issued by the IRS and is primarily used for tax purposes. Just to see, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of an ITIN before, you know what it is. Right, so then ITINs, there are a couple of, there is a little bit of confusion about ITINs because people typically don't, in my experience, I've ran across many people who are immigrants in this country who don't get ITINs. They're completely undocumented. They have no intention of becoming documented, so that's completely fine. But typically, a lot of people get ITINs in order to pay their taxes, right? A lot of people work with Social Securities. Maybe they invent numbers. A lot of immigrant people in the immigrant community come across numbers. They create them just so they can get working, but they also want to file taxes. So this number's primary use is for you to have access to file your taxes and gain access to your potential tax refund. But we also want to make sure that you understand what an ITIN is not used for. So there's a couple common misconceptions when it comes to ITIN. The first one is that it does not grant the right to work in the United States. And it does not grant Social Security benefits or earned income credit. So an ITIN number, ladies and gentlemen, looks like a Social Security number. It's the same amount of digits, the same sequence, but it does not grant you the right to legally work in the United States. A lot of places, if you go apply for a job, typically, they will ask you for a Social Security number as part of identification to verify your status in the States. You can't provide an ITIN number in order to do so. So it won't give you the right to do that, but that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to earn income in the United States, because you do not need a Social Security number to start your own business. You do not need a Social Security number to be a sole proprietor, to start an LLC. So many people in the immigrant community opt into getting an ITIN in order to start their own businesses and be able to report tax, because Social Security is not a requirement to do any of those. And also, just to clarify as well, you cannot claim Social Security benefits with an ITIN, right? Or the earned income tax credit. So these are a couple of the benefits that aren't available to you, at least on the federal level, with an ITIN. So please remember that. So perfect. Now I want to go over with you the process of how to apply for an ITIN. So one of the common practices that I have during my financial coaching sessions is helping people obtain an ITIN. Because it be a little bit of a daunting process. The steps are pretty simple, but more about the collection of documents. Make sure you fill out the form right. Make sure you keep track of your form, and you make sure that your application is progressing. So we're going to go over the first option, which is by mail. So in order for you to apply and obtain an ITIN, there's a packet that you have to prepare. So the packet that you have to prepare has to include a couple different things. Number one is it's called an IRS Form W-7, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in a couple slides. And this is basically the ITIN application. It's going to ask you your basic information, such as your name. It's going to ask you for your address, your mailing address. It's going to ask you when you immigrated into the United States, the reason as to why you were trying to obtain an ITIN. It's going to ask you if you had an ITIN before in case you want to renew it. So the most important thing is for you to get that form, IRS Form W-7, and get that filled out, and I'll show you how in a little bit. Number two will be a tax return. So like we said, that an ITIN's primary purpose is for a person to file their taxes. So the initial time that you're filing for an ITIN, you actually have to prepare your taxes, but you're not going to submit your taxes. What it is, I'm sure many of you have already done your taxes, either for the first, second, third, or fourth time since you're in college. When you do your taxes, It's a form called a 1040. That's the entire form that's going to fill it out. So what you'll do is you actually fill out that form, or you'll go to a tax preparer and have them fill out that form for you, but you will not have them submit that electronically or by paper. You'll simply just print out the forms, have them prepared, have them ready to go, and you're going to include that in your packet with your completed IRS form W7. Next will be your proof of identity. So proof of identity will just mean an ID. You can have an ID of any kind, and you also have a couple. You'll have to have a couple of different kinds of IDs, and there'll be a certified. There'll be a specific document that you need in order for it to be accepted, and those are the documents related to your status as foreigner. And I'll go ahead and share with you that list of documents that are acceptable in a couple slides. So once you prepare that packet, you have that ready to go. All you need to do is send that to the IRS. So the IRS has a center in Austin, Texas, where they process all ITIN operations. And you can see the address right in front of you. It's Internal Revenue Service, the Austin Service Center, ITIN operation, PO Box 149342 in Austin, Texas. So ladies and gentlemen, in case you ever send anything to the IRS, any important documents, I'm gonna share this with you because it's a trick and tip that I've carried with me my whole life. Always, when you're sending something, make sure to get a proof of mailing certificate. Go to your local post office. It's going to cost you $2, and it's basically going to be proof. It's going to be proof that you sent whatever document to whatever address. Whenever you're sending anything to the IRS, this is imperative that you do this because stuff gets lost. Stuff gets lost, accusations get made that you never sent something, and you having that little paper that you pay $2 for could be the difference between you paying penalties or not. So always make sure to keep track of anything that you send to the IRS, any important financial forms, especially when it has sensitive information on it. So just a cool little tip. So you would do that when you prepare your packet, send it off, and make sure you get that certificate of mailing so you can have that proof. Option number 2 is to find a certified acceptance agent. So now the thing with the first option, ladies and gentlemen, is that whatever ID, you can't send a copy of your ID. You can't send, it has to be the actual form. And many people only have that one ID. So you might not, it might not be optimal for you to send that ID out knowing you're not going to get it back for a couple of weeks. So something that you can do is you can actually look in your local community for a certified acceptance agent. So what is this? That you'll be able to apply for an ITIN in person using the services of a certified acceptance agent that's authorized by the US, by the IRS. You can locate one by visiting the link that's directly in front of you, and it eliminates the need to send the original documents to the IRS. So essentially what you would do is you would look up a certified acceptance agent in your community. It's many nonprofit agencies that do this, different organizations, some banks even offer it. They get certified to do this. You go, you make an appointment, you can apply for the ITIN on the spot, and they'll go ahead and look at your identification. They'll make sure it's real, they'll verify the information. And that way, all they do is provide a special stamp. So you no longer need to send off your actual document or into the IRS. They transmit it for you. So that eliminates the need of having to send your ID, especially if you're very limited in your ID options, so you can have that ready to go. So that's the second option. Option number 3 would be to make an appointment with the IRS. So you can make an appointment with the IRS. There's plenty of offices. I know there's one in San Francisco. I know there's one in San Jose. There should be one in Oakland as well. All you have to do is call 844-545-5640, and you can make an appointment with the IRS. And you can do everything on the spot, so you no longer need to send off anything. But to tell you the truth, it might be pretty difficult to get an appointment with the IRS. And the process can be pretty seamless once you know what you're doing. The hardest part is just filling out the initial form and going to a tax preparer. But once I show you the form, I think you'll be less scared of it because it's pretty basic information that you can find on your own. Perfect. So now, one of the biggest questions that I always get is, Efrain, how long is it going to take for me to receive my ITIN? And typically, right, you receive a letter from the IRS with your tax identification number within 7 weeks if you qualify for an ITIN and your application is complete. So if there's anything wrong with your application, ladies and gentlemen, they'll send that back and they'll let you know, hey, we're missing this piece of information. We needed an ID for you, whatever it might be. But typically it takes 7 weeks. I think now things are starting to speed back up again. In the last year, ITIN operations almost came to a halt as the pandemic and the IRS was going through some pretty difficult times. But if you qualify for an ITIN, everything's good to go. I know it's speeding a little bit back up now. You should get your stuff back. What I've seen on average is typically about 2 months. That ID that you send off, they'll typically send it back around a month and you'll get it back. And then you'll get a letter in the mail with your new ITIN. It'll be this huge letter and you'll see your ITIN stated out perfectly for you, and the ITIN is valid for a couple of years as long as you're using it. So 7 to 8 weeks just to be sure for you to get your stuff back. Perfect. Now I wanted to show you exactly what the IRS form W-7 looks like. It's a pretty basic form. There's a couple questions that might throw you off route, but it asks for basic information that you'll have disposable, so you might even feel comfortable enough to fulfill to complete it yourself. So this is the first half of it. I broke it down into 3 parts, and this is IRS form W-7. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, please don't ever pay for any IRS forms. All IRS forms are completely free. You can find them on the IRS website. So you can just Google it and you'll get the PDF right then and there. You can even fill it out directly on the PDF. So as you see, it'll ask you a couple different things. The first thing you're going to note on the top right corner, it says application type, applying for a new ITIN or renew an existing ITIN. So depending on what you do, you can go ahead and complete it. And just a quick little note, once you renew your ITIN, ladies and gentlemen, you no longer need to send your ID. You no longer need to send your tax forms. All you'll need to do is print out this form W-7 and send that to them, and that's how you renew it. That's only the first time that you have to complete that packet. And then the next thing you're going to ask is the reason why from submitting a form W-7. And typically the most common reasons are number A and B, which is you're filing to get a federal tax return. And here you're going to go ahead and see the second part of form W-7, which asks your basic information. It's going to ask you your name, any aliases that you might have used in the past, your mailing address, your foreign address. If you're here on a visa, you're here for any particular reason or a special program, you can put that as well. Your birth information, country of birth. It'll ask you for the city and state or province, gender. It'll ask you what different countries you already have citizenship for, a foreign tax ID number if you have one, a type of visa. If you're here on a visa as well, you can go ahead and put what type in there. But the most important part, ladies and gentlemen, is where you see a 6D, because 6D is where you're going to plug in the information of the accompanying documentation, the ID that you're going to send for them to verify. So now typically, in my experience at the Mexican consulate, people send their Mexican passport. That's an ID they're able to get from their consulate. That's a Mexican passport. So on there, you would just check mark passport, and you're going to go and enter it's issued by whatever country it was issued by, the specific number that it has, the identification number of your ID, the expiration date, and then the big question, ladies and gentlemen, that you see is date of entry into the United States. Now, people typically don't remember the exact date that they got into the United States because it might have been some 20, 30 odd years ago, whatever it might be. So don't worry too much about this question. As long as you get a ballpark range of when you entered, the year is the most important thing, just so you have that on record.
Sorry to interrupt. Oh, sorry.
No worries, what's up?
Someone asked, what should I do if I'm unable to get an ID?
If you're unable to get it, so you have to get an ID. So if you're unable to get an ID, if you are some sort of undocumented status, I would recommend a couple different things. Number one, I would recommend contacting your country's consulate, because as long as you have access to that consulate, you are able to get some ID. Even if you didn't have the funds to pay for an ID, you can make an appeal to whatever consulate and they can provide you with an ID, because that's exactly what they're there for. So if you can't get an ID, I'd recommend for you to contact your country's consulate to locate one, to make an appointment for you to get one, because there really shouldn't be anything barring you from receiving an ID from your consulate. That's a great question. So then here, ladies and gentlemen, so you have it, enter the date. So you're going to put pretty much the year. That's the most important part they want to look at. Question 6E asks you, have you previously received an ITIN? If you put yes, then you can go ahead and answer whatever ITIN you have, because a quick little note, ladies and gentlemen, when you renew your ITIN, it changes. So they'll give you a different number. So you'll go ahead and enter the old number for them to issue you a new number. And you also have to enter the name exactly how it was on the original sheet when you received your ITIN right then and there. And number 6G is for people that are here on visas that are students, they're international students. So you can go ahead and enter what university you're at, what state and city, and you can provide that proof as well. And then finally, you come to the end, ladies and gentlemen. All you have to do is provide your signature. You see the top part? That's the only part you're going to sign. The second half is for the IRS agent that's going to be looking and approving your application. All you would do is go ahead and sign. You're going to print your name, the date, and the phone number, and the delegate's relationship to the applicant. So that means that somebody can fill out the application for you. It can be a parent, it can be a court appointed guardian, or a power of attorney. For those of you who don't know what power of attorney means, It simply means that you give permission for somebody to represent you in your legal capacity in any manner. So if you appoint somebody power of attorney, then they can fill out for you and represent you, and it'll be completely fine. And that's it. So you can go, once you sign that, you completed your form W-7. Like I said, it's a pretty basic form. I bet most of you can fill it out by your own. But even then, if you need any assistance, you can get assistance at any tax center, or you can also contact us at Mission Asset Fund for our financial coaching sessions, and we'd be happy to help. So now, perfect. So now, identity and immigration status is a very important part. So now, what exactly are you be able to send? You can send your passport or 2 documents with the recent photograph. Applicants that are 14 years of age or under 18 if a student have an exception, you don't need to send that. And passports without an entry date won't be accepted as a unique identification document for dependents. So these are a couple of documents that you can take, that you can have, and you can include in your packet. And I wanted to show you the list, because this list is directly from the instructions from the IRS Form W-7. These are the list of documents that they're able to take. So they take passports, they take national identification documents. So let's say you have a birth certificate. You have a birth certificate from your country that you got from your consulate. You can also put that in there, and they can use that as an identification document. You can use a U.S. driver's license, a civil birth certificate, foreign driver's license, a U.S. state identification card, foreign registration, voter registration card, U.S. military identification card, foreign military registration card, a United States visa, or a USCIS photo ID. So you can use any of the following in order to receive an ITIN. So please make sure that you have one of these documents. Whenever you're filling it out, just make sure that whatever document you have falls into one of these categories. Because sometimes I've had people send out like a school ID. They will not take a school ID because it's not recognized by an actual government. It has to be an ID that has been administered to you by your home government or by the United States. So I hope that's able to clear up the ID question even a little bit more. Perfect. So now we get into the good part. Now that we talked about exactly what is an ITIN, what is it good for, I want to show you the benefits to having an ITIN, right? Because there's plenty of benefits to having an ITIN, ladies and gentlemen. If you are undocumented in this country, I would highly recommend, if you're earning income, for you to get your taxes back, because we all pay taxes, right? You might as well get an opportunity to get a refund, to get a bank account, to get credit. So we're going to go over exactly what can you do with an ITIN. So first and foremost, you can file tax returns and claim your tax refund. Like you said, ladies and gentlemen, you pay sales tax, you pay income tax if you're working. So you might as well get your money back if you have the opportunity to do so. So having an ITIN allows you to do exactly that, to try to either get a refund, maybe you are in debt and you have to pay some money back to the IRS, whatever it might be. At least you're fulfilling your duty and you're paying your taxes and you're showing that you're responsible, and that will segue into established proof of residency and stability. So now, people that are immigrants have aspirations typically to become residents and citizens of the United States. So now, when you become a resident or citizen of the United States, it's a pretty extensive process where they review all kinds of documents, anything that you have to show proof as to why you should be allowed to be a resident or citizen of the country, they'll review. A prime example is my whole family is immigrants except for me. I was the only child that was born on this side of the border. So I've helped out all of my brothers and sisters with their immigration processes. And we literally have to collect any and every document that we've ever had since they arrived here to show, hey, they have been in this country for 20 something years. Here's a report card from their 7th grade English class and beyond. So the more proof that you have of your activities and your time at the States, the higher chances will be of getting a proof of residency. And an ITIN is that in a very effective and proactive manner of doing so. Why? Because if you say, hey, I've been living in the United States since I was 18, I'm 25 now, I've been working, I've been filing my taxes every single year. Here are 7 years worth of tax returns. Here's my credit report. Here's an established history of me being financially responsible and doing my due diligence and doing my obligation to the state and to the government, the federal government. I'm paying my taxes. And that is a really, really good showing on your part as to establishing proof of residency and stability. And then next is that you can access financial products to help you reach your financial personal goals, right? So many people don't know that you can open credit lines and build your credit history with an ITIN. It acts just like a social security number, right? You can use your ITIN to build credit, to open up, and you can also open a bank account with it. I've had plenty of people, ladies and gentlemen, who I know had ITINs and they didn't establish credit history because they thought that they had to wait until they were residents or citizens to have a chance to establish credit history. And no, you can build credit the second you have an ITIN. You can start applying for credit lines and build that credit history. And we're going to talk about that right now. So building credit with an ITIN, you can do so. It's definitely an option. Is a couple different ways that you can build credit with an ITIN. Number one is you can become an authorized user on a credit line in good standing. So I'm sure you heard about it in the presentation before me, but an authorized user is pretty much called the piggyback method. Let's say your parents have a credit card. They can add your social security number or your ITIN to that credit card, and their activity with that credit card will reflect on your credit history. So that's a very easy way for somebody to get their credit started, is to go ahead and become an authorized user on somebody's credit line that's already in good standing. And you can do that with an ITIN. The next thing you can do is open up a secured credit card. A secured credit card is essentially just a credit card in which you have to put down a deposit, right? So you go to bank A and you tell bank A, hey, I would like to open up a secured credit card. They'll ask you for a deposit within $300 and $500. Let's say you give them $500. They give you a credit card with a credit line of what? $500. So there's no risk for them, because in case you were to spend all $500 and then you don't pay them back, they simply keep your deposit and it's all good, right? But let's say you go ahead and take out that credit card and then you go ahead and make your monthly payments, right? Every single month you're paying it down, you're showing them that you're using it, you start building credit history with that ITIN. And essentially, typically after a year, that bank will see, hey, you know what? Person A has shown me they're being very responsible. They took out this credit line, they've been using it, they've been paying it off, they never paid late. Let's go ahead and give them an actual line of credit. They'll return your deposit, they'll take away your secured credit card, and they'll offer you a regular credit line with no deposit. And all of a sudden, now you have a real credit card. So that's the second most effective manner to start your credit with an ITIN. Number three would be lending circles. So ladies and gentlemen, we have an awesome program at Mission Asset Fund called Lending Circles, which is a 0% interest social loan to help people start, establish, or better their credit. It's absolutely free. There's no charges. It's essentially just a social loan in which you pay an amount every single month, and that happens within a group. So let's say 5 people join a group. Each person in the group contributes $100 every single month, and then every month somebody's going to receive those $500. And so everybody in the group at one point received the $500. And now you have 5 months of credit history behind you, and you have all your money back. So it's an awesome and very effective manner for anybody, whether it be a college student to an older person, to start better or repair their credit. It's a great way. So I'll share a little bit more information in a little bit. And the key point, ladies and gentlemen, and please remember this, and you know anybody with an ITIN building credit, you know is on a path to residency or citizenships, remember this. You can transfer your credit history once you receive a social security number. So let's say you've had an ITIN for 5 years and you finally became a resident and you get your new social security number in the mail. You can actually transfer all the credit history from your ITIN over to your social security number. It's very simple. The only thing you would need to do would be contact your credit bureaus. When you receive your social security number, you get a letter from the social security agency, and then you go ahead and provide that as proof. And you send a copy of that to each of the credit bureaus. You say, hey, my name is person A. I was using ITIN number, but I now have a social security number. Here's my proof. And they will go ahead and transfer all the credit history from your ITIN over your social security number, so you do not have to start over. That is one of the most important things for you to remember. If you're an ITIN holder, you don't have to start over. So the sooner you start establishing credit, as you heard, I'm sure, in the presentation before this, the sooner you start, the better. The longer your credit history, the better. So please, with an ITIN, start as soon as possible, and know that when you become a resident or citizen one day, you can easily transfer that over and carry on right where you left off. So perfect. Next thing I want to cover is banking with an ITIN, right? So you're able to locate banks off. There's different banks, ladies and gentlemen, around the country that offer bank accounts with an ITIN. Some major banks offer it, like I know Wells Fargo, I think Bank of America does. They allow you to open up a bank account with an ITIN. But also many credit unions, many local community banks offer that opportunity, and they typically offer a wide array of products, and they're more lenient and able in offering you those products because you have an ITIN. Typically, ladies and gentlemen, when financial institutions see an ITIN, they automatically view that as more risk. That's just the name of the game. Because you are an immigrant and you don't have a social security number, they're automatically just going to view you as more risk. It doesn't matter what kind of income you have. So because of that, your interest rates might be a little higher, right? The selection of products that you can access to might be a little bit smaller. And what I love about credit unions, especially in the Bay Area credit unions are very, very responsive to it, as they offer a wide array of products. So the best thing for you to do is to locate a financial institution that accepts ITIN. These are banks that don't require a social security number. So if you're undocumented, it's very possible to open an account. And there are various national banks that accept ITINs when opening an account, as well as local credit unions. And the best way, ladies and gentlemen, to look this up, I can share with you two different resources. Number one is called Flejcon. That's Bankon. If you look up Flejcon, it's an initiative by a wide collection of network of banks all across the United States. And those are all banks that accept ITIN as an identification number, so you can open up your own bank account. The other one is an initiative called Juntos Avanzamos, which is JUNTOS. Avanzamos is AVANZAMOS, Avanzamos. And that's another initiative started by actual Mexican consulates and banks in order to connect people who didn't have a social security number to have an access to a bank account. There's a lot of great banks here in the Bay Area. My personal favorite, and just like an unofficial endorsement of them, is it's called Self-Help Credit Union. And I would highly recommend that because there's a location in Oakland. Everybody here is from Berkeley. They're an awesome bank, and they offer everything, ladies and gentlemen, to people with ITIN. So if you know anybody that's undocumented that has ITINs and they need access to loans, even to mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, this bank offers every single kind of product to people with ITINs. They're an awesome bank. I highly recommend you to check them out. Perfect. So now we're reaching the tail end of the presentation, and I want to just show you a couple different resources that Mission Asset Fund has developed in order to help people, especially ITIN holders. One really good thing about Mission Asset Fund, ladies and gentlemen, every single one of our products or programs is accessible to people with an ITIN. We don't exclude people with ITINs at all. So if you have an ITIN, you can participate in any single program at Mission Asset Fund. And I'm going to share with you two programs and a couple additional resources that we developed. Number one would be a lending circle. So a lending circle is a very famous practice. It has different names all around the world. In Latin America, it's called the tanda. I know in parts of Africa, it's called the susu, pandero, like in the Philippines. It has a whole a wide array of names. But essentially what it is just a group of people getting together to share money, right? So what happens, let's say you have 10 people. Each of those 10 people dedicates themselves to putting $100 every single month. So 10 people times 100, that's $1,000 in the pot every single month. So what we do is we go ahead and formalize this process, right? So 10 people at $100 each, that's $1,000. At the beginning of the process, we pick a random order and we go ahead and lay it out 1 through 10. So now every single month, 1 out of the 10 people will receive the $1,000. They'll receive the whole pot. And every single month, everybody will keep paying $100 until every single one of the 10 people has received the $1,000 at one point or another. And now this is a very interesting way to manage money because it's a social loan. We don't hold the money. We simply redistribute the money when we collect it from you. But what we do and what we change the game with is this. Every single payment that you make towards this lending circle, we report it to as your credit. So we go ahead and have you sign a promissory note, which we will require your social security number or your ITIN. So with every single payment that you make towards this social loan, we report it to 3 credit bureaus as an installment loan, and we help you build your credit. So somebody that has absolutely no credit can join our program and establish their first line of credit in a manner that does not cost them a single cent. You will not pay any interest. You will not pay any fees. We don't make any money off doing this, right? And if anything, it can serve as a savings plan. Because let's say you're the last person. Let's say you're number 10. And every single month, you've been paying $100 without receiving anything. The last month, here's your $1,000 back. You technically just saved $1,000 while building your credit at the same time, right? And there's nowhere else in the world that you're gonna be able to build your credit in a manner that costs you 0% interest and that helps you save at the same time. There might be credit cards that offer 0% interest, 0% interest rates, but you're still spending money in order to get that. With us, You're simply helping out the people in the group. You're getting all your money back at 1 month or another, and you're establishing your credit history. So it's an awesome way. I highly encourage everybody to check out our lending circles. If you're a college student and you're interested in building your credit, but you don't want to get in debt, this is an awesome opportunity to do so. I know when I was in college, I signed up for credit cards and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like 19, 20 years old. And I remember I was walking through campus and they're like, hey, if you sign up for a credit card today, you get a free Frisbee. And I was like, man, I really like that Frisbee. So I went and got a credit card because I wanted a Frisbee. And I ended up having that credit card and I was super responsible with it. I ended up maxing it out. And it took me a couple of years to pay off that credit card, just simply because nobody walked through interest rates with me. Nobody walked through, okay, this is how much it's going to cost you in the long run if you don't pay this. Don't take out credit that you don't need. So Lending Circles is definitely one of those programs that I wish I would have known about in college to help me start off my credit on the right foot early on. So if you guys are interested in any of this, feel free to let me know and I'd be happy to help you with it. The next thing I want to share, since we're on the topic of ITINs and immigration, is that Mission Asset Fund, we actually offer, ladies and gentlemen, 0% interest immigration loans. So if you or anybody in your friends or family is an immigrant and they are trying to establish residency or citizenship in this country, they have to pay a fee to USCIS in order to get that process started. And you can see the fees in front of you. Citizenship costs $725. DACA right now is $495. A green card is $1225. TPS, temporary protected status, is $495. Petition for relative, $535. So now let's say let's say you're applying for a green card and you don't have the $1,225 handy, so you're waiting to save that money so you can start this application. You don't have to do that. You can come with Mission Asset Fund and we will give you a loan for that amount. For the $1,225, we'll write out a check directly made out to United States Customs and USCIS. And so you can go ahead and pay them, and then you'll pay us back 0% interest. We'll break it down for 10 months. So instead of having to pay one lump sum of $1,225, you'll simply pay $122.50 for 10 months. 0% interest. Like I said, we don't make any money off this. We are not a bank. We're a nonprofit agency. And all we're trying to do is create access for people. So if you guys know anybody can take advantage of this, please feel free to let us know. And a lot of our programs, ladies and gentlemen, are forgivable. Like right now for DACA, we're paying half of it. So you really only have to pay $200 and we'll help you get your DACA. A lot of our loans, we forgive them. So please, if you know anybody's interested, feel free to let me know. And last slide, something I want to share with you guys is that Mission Asset Fund has developed a wide array of resources. They're all completely free to help people with their finances. The first one being is that we have free financial coaching. If you're interested in having a financial coaching session, either with myself or anybody else on the team, you can do so. It could be a virtual session. All you have to do is follow that link in front of you, bit.ly/MAP support, and you can have an absolutely free financial coaching session. And we can go over anything. You want to establish your credit history, you want to build a budget, whatever it might be, feel free to contact us and we'll be happy to help you. And also, if you're interested in any of the MAPS products, we have program specialists, people dedicated just to helping you understand the program, what it is to apply. If you need help applying, we'll walk you through every step of the way. The next is our resources finder. Since the pandemic started, we know better than anyone that people are experiencing very difficult financial times. So we established a tool to help people get connected to resources. Feel free to check it out, our resources finder. And the last thing and the request that I have to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this, because this product was designed specifically for college students and for younger people, as well as older people, but college students are especially something that we want to focus on. And that is our MyMap app. So Mission Asset Fund has developed an application, which is essentially like having a financial coach in your pocket at all times. If you're interested in learning, which I know you are because you're here, if you're interested in learning about your finances in a manner which is like comprehensible, but you can understand bite-sized pieces, feel free to check out our app. It's amazing. It's a MyMap app. All you need to do is take out your phone. You can go ahead and point your camera at that QR code, and it will take you directly to the App Store, no matter what kind of phone you have. So you can download our MyMap app. It's completely free, ladies and gentlemen. We have over 30 different modules in there, everything from how to open up a bank account, to how to buy a house, how to start your own business. If you're interested in running your own credit, we can give you access to your credit report right there within the app. It's an awesome application, and we're actually developing even more. That's one of the primary focuses for the organization moving forward, which is super exciting. So we hope you're able to take advantage. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to leave it off and say thank you so much for the opportunity to present. I hope that you walked away with a little bit piece of information more than you walked in with. And I would like to open up for any questions. And if you don't have any questions, feel free to send us an email. You can reach out to us, and I'll be happy to help you however we can.
There's actually a couple of questions in the chat. The first question is, should I pay taxes even though I'm undocumented? Other benefits of paying taxes that can go towards citizenship?
Yeah, I think that because you can get a refund, right? So because you're already paying taxes. If you're working, you're already paying taxes. So you might have withdrawing happening. So if you have withdrawal, sometimes it might make more sense for it because you can claim your refund if you're eligible for it. So, and also it's the benefit to it, like I said, is that it establishes proof of residency. I know that's a big thing. People want to show that they have a track record, how do I say, like a good track record here in the United States. I've been paying my dues. I'm here on track. I'm not being a bad person. Gave me status. So that's one way to do so. But I highly encourage it. Even if you don't work a formal job, if you're undocumented, start your own business, right? That's like one of the most basic ways, not basic, but that's one of the most common ways that people that are immigrants end up thriving in this country. They start their own businesses because you don't need a social security number in order to start your own business. You can start an LLC simply with your ITIN number. And once you do that, I mean, you're in control of your own fate, and you will have to pay taxes at that point. But that being said, if you play it right, you might even get a refund back.
All right, thank you for that. All right, the second question is, what if I got an ITIN when my parents filed their taxes? Is that number still valid?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah. What if I got an ITIN when my parent files their taxes? Is that number still valid?
Yeah, it should be still valid. So the only way an ITIN number is not valid is if you don't use it for 3 years. So if you don't file taxes for 3 years, then they go ahead and void that ITIN because there hasn't been activity on it. So it wouldn't really matter if you got your ITIN when your parents filed their taxes, as long as you got an ITIN. If they claimed you as a dependent with the ITIN, that's fine. So just make sure that you're using it. That way it doesn't get voided out.
All right, thank you for
And
that.
yeah, and there's
Awesome.
notices, ladies and gentlemen. So like you can also check, just type in, hey, is my ITIN gonna expire? And they'll tell you if your ITIN starts with 9/2, then it will expire in the year 2022 and you have to renew it. So just stay on top of that every tax season because it might be expiring and you just have to renew it.
All right, thank you for that. There's no more questions in the chat, but if anyone has questions, please put it in the chat or just PM me or even ask aloud if you want to.
Awesome. Give me one quick second so I can stop the share. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you walked away with a little bit more information. And I highly encourage y'all, check out our app. I think if you're like, it seems like everybody here is really interested in learning about their finances and seeing how they can use it as a tool for progression. And I'll leave you off with this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm extremely proud of all of you because I know when I was in college, I was studying business and finance, but I wasn't thinking about personal finance. I was taking like corporate finance, thinking like, oh man, I'm really gonna use this one day. And to tell you the truth, I haven't used corporate finance at all, right? But the thing that you do know is like you learn things about credit, you learn things about budgeting, learn about things that you use every single day, right? All of you guys go on your bank apps every day, you check your balances. Every guys are doing your budgets in your head. And that's something that you're gonna do for the rest of your life. And then things get a little bit more complex. You start taking out loans, you start buying homes. As your finances progress, your life will progress. So it's always great to stay on top of that, right? Because it's the knowledge. Because if you have financial knowledge accompanied with money, then the options are limitless, right? If you have a lot of money, a lot of income, but you don't have any financial literacy behind it, you can lose that money very quickly, right? So you guys are also doing an awesome job by staying on top of it, being curious about these topics, because it's topics that you use every single day, but you might really not think about it that way. So if I can help you out in any which way, please feel free to contact me. The Flejcon board has my information. I would be happy to chat with any single one of you. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'm sending good energy to all of you guys, and I hope you have a good rest of your conference.